What have I been watching on YouTube? Well, not all the arts are paper and paint. One of the channels I really enjoy on YouTube and Google Plus is Crochet Geek. I'm not the only one. Crochet Geek has earned a 100,000 subscriber button from YouTube. What an accomplishment! Threads, fibers, and yarns to fabric, and, well, before you know it, I'm off to create yet another art journal page inspired by a technique called filet crochet. So, if you're one of those who, like me, also enjoy the needle arts, take a moment to visit Crochet Geek's channel. Hi there. I am ready to work on page 5. I'm still working on this scissors layout. I'm ready to do part 2. As you can see, I'm going to include this repeated scissors design that I did as a full page poster. I'll work on that in a minute. What I want to work on now are these 2 pages. I have gessoed them with black gesso. I'm going to be using my paint writer, and I'm going to fill it. I want to talk a bit about, this is just whitewash Americana acrylic paint. Sometimes I'll use these Craft Smart paints. This is acrylic paint. But I do want to tell you that as I use them, and then I'll put the lid back on them, and I'll come back and use them again, they can get very clumpy inside, and I can get globs and clumps of paint. And to this one, right before I started filming this, I added a little water, and then I stirred it up. Let me open this. I took a stick here, and see how it gets clumpy in there? See that clump right here, right in there? This paint can be it can get clumpy in there, and it can clump up inside of your writing tip, your painting tip. But I've tried to thin this out a little with just plain water. You don't want to put too much water in it, or you'll thin the paint out too much, and that isn't what you want either. So I just stir it up really good. I don't think I have all the clumps out, but I think I have enough out of this that I can still use it. And you'll see as I pour in here, you may see some of the clumps. I washed out my bottle really good, but as I pour down this stream here, you may see some clumps going into that bottle. See how it's clumpy. Now maybe what I'll do is, see how it's globby. Now, a part of that for what I'm doing, I'm going to stop there. A part of that for what I'm doing, I like, but a part of what I don't, because it can clump up in this part of your nozzle and really clog it up. And I had to take this into my sink, and I cleaned it out really good. So I'm pretty sure this will write. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add just a teeny bit more water to this. I don't want to add too much, or it'll thin the paint out too much, and that isn't what I want either. I'm going to stir that up again. And that may have been too much because I can see how thin that is. Maybe I'll add some more paint to this. You want it to be kind of like a thin consistency that you can paint with, but you don't want those big globs in there either, especially the big ones that are drying out on you. That's a little better. But as long as you're using and I am, because I don't want to go out and buy expensive paint at this point. I just want to use what I have, and I'm using this Americana acrylic paint, which is a little bit better than this Craft Smart, I think. I'm not sure. It's still acrylic paint and it still will clump up on you, but okay, now let me get to the page here that I'm working on, which is this one. Now I'm going to move this a little bit more here because I'm going to work on this side first. I wanted to show you, this is a piece that I got. I don't know if I got it at a flea market or a craft fair or what, but what it is it'll hold, I think you put like toilet paper in there and put it in your bathroom, hang it up. I don't do that. What I do is I put plastic bags in here. So this is a piece that I actually use in my home. But I'm not going to mimic the design. I'm going to use it as inspiration. You can see here it's got the, if you know anything about crochet, up in here it's got the fillet where there's 3 double stitches and then a gap and 3 double stitches and a gap, and then they form sort of a checkerboard design up in here. And see, these are either triple or double stitches depending on, these look like triple stitches to me because they're tall, and then there are some double stitches here, and it kind of makes an insertion stitch where down here they did the same thing, only they threaded a ribbon through it. They threaded a white ribbon through the double stitches. And I think that's really pretty. And I'm going to use that same technique. On the back, there's no design. It's just all flat stitch. So I'm going to use some inspiration, the fillet stitch, maybe the insertion stitches here. I'm going to work on this page first, and I'm going to use my scissors as inspiration. Now I might put, because I'm drawing, I'm not actually crocheting, I can draw all my lines across here first if I want. If you were actually crocheting a piece, you would build your stitches from the bottom row and then work up. Or you would do the little squares and then sew them together. Well, what I'm going to do, I think I want some rows down here. And should I work from the top down? I think I'm going to work from the top down simply because I don't want to do this first and get my hand in the paint. I'm going to work up here, and I'll try to move my book down a little so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to work from the top down. When I'm going to use this same inspiration of this, and I'm going to use my white craft paint. Now the advantage of painting on a page is if I don't like the stark contrast of the white against the black, I can go in and do a wash over it. And I may do that because this, after all, is a journal page, but it's drawing inspiration from a crochet piece. And what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat these scissors across the page. Now I have not done this as a sample before, so I may not like what I'm doing and my paint may be too thin, but we'll see. If I don't like what I'm doing, I can always paint it out. So from this point on, I think that I will go into a fast forward process so you can just watch. This is how pages 9 and 10 looked at the end of part 1. Now I start out by using my paint writer and doing a simulation of some double crochets, and then I just draw horizontal lines across the entire page and start drawing in a fillet stitch of scissors. Now I want to say this is not how you crochet. This is just me drawing how a fillet crochet of scissors might look. If one were to crochet this, they would take an entirely different approach. But I am painting a picture of fillet crochet, and I'm doing scissors with the blades pointing downward and then another one with the blades pointing upwards. doing the bottom fillet stitches there. The lines are kind of wonky, but you'll see later on where those wonky lines make sense, because when a piece of fabric is laid down on a table, very seldom are the threads perfectly straight. Now I'm working on the back side of the poster. I was going to use linen needlework tape to tape that together, but I ended up just using some Walmart cloth medical tape. Then I gesso the entire back with black gesso. This adds strength to the paper, which is just a copy paper, but it also gives me a ground to work on. After it's dry, I fold it up like I want, and I write in script the quote, "May your scissors always be sharp." This is my own quote. As far as I know, nobody else has really come up with this. I use it a lot on my needlework samplers and when I do ornaments. Now, while I'm happy with this so far, you'll see that I do paint in the background with some Warren Penny metallic and some sapphire blue metallic, and I'm still happy with that. But later on, as I'm working with it, I come to a point to where I do not like it, and I paint the whole thing out. But when I do that, I say it's an undercoat. Touching up my letters there. Then I get out a black paint writer and fill it with black craft paint. And this is where I think I go wrong, is that black paint is very, very clumpy. And you can even tell there my lines are not coming out like I want them to. And I think I'm going to outline the words, but I make the mistake of not really waiting for that paint to dry. I'm in such a hurry, and my paint's clogging up on me, and the more I work with it, the more frustrated I get. And oops, there you can see I start messing it up. But I keep on thinking that I can rescue it, adding more paint and more paint. It's not quite what I want. I wouldn't call it a bad experience, but it's not quite what I want. I get out a skewer and try to spread the paint around, and the more I try to spread the paint around, the more unhappy I am with it. And so I start blotching it, thinking I can lift some of the paint, and there's where I say I'm just going to paint the whole thing out, and that's what I do. I do leave some metallic shining through there. Now it's all dried again by the time I'm doing this, and I'm going to rewrite that quote there, and this time I rewrite it in block letters. And the letters fit the page a little bit better, and I'm much happier with it already. May your scissors always be sharp. Then I get out my gold Speedball screen printing ink, and the more I put on this on the page, the happier I am. I can almost say that this has become a go-to for me in this journal. This gold screen printing ink has really been fun to work with. But as I'm doing this, I'm thinking this page is flat. I need something more to it. And I do something that I very rarely do. In fact, I don't think I've done it since my college days, and that's splatter. I'm going, I wonder what that screen printing ink, if I'd splatter it, how it would look. And the more I splatter, oh, the more fun, the more I like it. This is just what this page needed. And you can see I turn my page as I do the splatters, and that cross hatches the splatters. and that just, for me, made the page. I'm very happy with the result. Saving off my paint in my scrap journal. Now I'm back to working on the scissors on the right hand side of the page. I'm doing the same thing, the scissors pointing down and the blades pointing upward. Now I start putting, you'll see I'm putting these little dots in every line, and that is simulating what in crochet they call a picot stitch, P-I-C-O-T. Now I will say again, this is not how you make a picot stitch in crochet, but this is how I'm drawing it. This is how I'm simulating it. And if you look at it closely, it gives a very, very lace, L-A-C-E, lace-like look to the page. It makes the page look very lacy, and that's exactly what I want. And after I do this, I'm going, okay, this is making this page. See those wonky lines? Do not look so bad once you get all those little dots, all those little picot stitches on there. Very happy with how this is turning out. It's exactly what I want. Except for the white is a very bright contrast against the black. I'm just showing you some close-ups here. The paint at this point is very wet. I have to let this dry at least 2 to 3 hours because that paint is very thick as it comes out of the writer. Even the craft paint, it needs time to dry thoroughly. So I let it dry thoroughly. Then I get out something I haven't used in a long time, and that's walnut stain. And it's used on fabrics. I got it in the fabric department, but I haven't used it forever. And I want to spray it on my journal, and it's darker than what I expected, but I lift it with water off of the scissors, and so the effect is that the background gets pushed into the background and the scissors stand out. Now I try to do the same on the back of my poster, and this has not been gessoed or glazed or anything, and that walnut stain sinks right into, it's just copy paper. And I try to lift it, and I'm not as happy with that, but it dries a little lighter, so I just glaze it. Now glazing this copy paper has the effect of protecting it, but it also adds an extra thickness to the page that makes the paper just a little bit stronger. This is not strong paper. Now I'm outlining all the words of my quote, "May your scissors always be sharp." Here again, that's just a quote that I came up with that I use on all my, well, not all of mine, but most of my, when I'm doing scissors samplers or scissors ornaments, especially around March. The Irish blessing, "May your scissors always be sharp." And so I use this a lot in my artwork and on my needlework. Now I'm just outlining the letters to make them stand out a little bit better. Very happy with this. And then I glaze this side of the page too, and as I said, this glaze makes this copy paper stronger. Set it aside, and now I'm going to glaze both sides of the pages in my book. And I'll allow those to dry. Now, here's the finale. I get out that gold screen printing ink and paint that on my scissors and along the edges, and it just adds the final touch to my pages. I'm very, very happy with how this page turned out. I will say though that it's very hard to capture on the camera and in photographs how this page really looks. Now I'm inserting the poster in the book, and you can see I have a gap there where I cut out pages. I cut some acetate, 2 inches by 10 inches. 10 inches is the height of the book, and I tape with score tape that inside of the gap
of that wallpaper book, and then on the back side I put more score tape. You see I have 3 strips there, and glue my poster down. See where I'm putting that score tape there? And then I'll attach it to the back of my poster, and it fits in there perfectly. I'm very happy with this page.
Page 5 is done. This is the first page layout. It's a happy talent to know how to play. And then this is actually the 4th page layout. I backtracked to do these, and I have CDs that will go in there. And this is the second page layout. This is the 3rd page layout. What did I do here? No, this is the 2nd page layout. This is the 4th page layout. This is the 3rd page layout. These are my windows, done on acetate. The rose mulling. You can see I redid my lettering down here because I wasn't happy with it before. It was kind of sloppy before. So I just cleaned it up a little. Creative Journey. And this is the one with the tags, the mother-daughter generation tags. And now we come to the scissors and the poster, which folds out this way. May your scissors always be blessed. And then it'll fold back up and fold this way. That's the back, and then I have the other side here. Aren't these fun? Turn off this light. You can see the gold a lot more on here with the light off. The lighting in here kind of detracts from the gold of this page. But I don't think I'm going to do any more to this page because I really have my journaling spot on my poster. Really happy with how this turned out. Now my next page is this double page, and I was not going to do anything to it. I'm still not going to do anything to it. Well, I'm going to do something to it, but I'm not going to paint it or mark it up. What I'm going to do is, because the next real page that I'm going to do is going to be a thick page again. So I'm going to remove some pages here. I think I'm going to remove this one, and this one, and this one. I'm going to remove several pages here. I think I determined, see, I'm going over to another double page layout. I might remove this one, or I might leave it in and let these 2 pages be the double page layout. Or I might remove this one too and let this be the back of it and jessel this up. I'm still deciding on that. But what I'm going to do with this, I have kind of got some, as I've been painting around the edges, these do not bother me too much because I know this is an art journal and that happens. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this inclusion and remove it here, or I could even use, let me get it here. Remember I removed these other pages? I could use one of these. Ooh, I like this one. How about putting this one in here? I want it to come clear up to the top. And I might darken this. and make a pocket to put things in, like an envelope like this, to hold an envelope. Not this one. I think I'll use this one. I like those dark sunflowers. And I'm not going to touch those, except for I might darken this with, to give it an edge with oil pastel. I like that a lot. Let's put this aside here. I could do that right now.